Welcome to WagerTalk TV. I am Kelly Stewart, at Kelly in Vegas on Twitter, joined by the guy over here on his phone, Tony Finn, at Finn at WagerTalk, and Mr. Bryan Leonard, at B Leonard Sports on Twitter. Make sure you guys are giving them both a follow. We're going to continue doing our top 25 preview. Number 12, Oregon. Mr. Finn, I'm not going to go to you first because your initial reaction when I said that was the video we're doing wasn't a good one, and I'd like this to do well on the Oregon message boards. So we're going to go to Bryan Leonard first.
I talked about in the last video I did with Ralph Michaels, we talked about Utah. Now we're talking about their major competition in the conference, and that's Oregon. From a talent standpoint, Oregon ranks 17th in the country, which is second behind USC from the talent aspect in this conference. And Oregon's loaded, especially on the offensive side.
They're always loaded.
They're always loaded. And this is a team right now that they were very fortunate to get the quarterback coming back this year. Smart move on his part, I believe.
Very true.
But
they're saying he's going to be the overall #1 draft pick next
Justin
year.
Herbert, that's what they're saying. He's the #1 overall draft pick. I don't know if it'll end up that way, but he's still very talented. And if he isn't, it's probably going to be his own fault because this offensive line is terrific.
They're going to give him tons of help.
They've got fast receivers. Last year they dropped a lot of passes, but they do have a lot of receivers with talent there. So if he doesn't light up the scoreboard for 40 and something every game, I doubt if he'll be that #1 draft choice. But he's loaded. The offense is just loaded here. You take a look at their schedule. They do have to play on the road at Stanford and Washington. And we touched on this in the last video. Those are two of the teams in this league that are more physical, along with Utah. And if you go back and look last year, they played those two teams at home, had to go to overtime in those games. They split the games there. So now they got to go on the road. So that's the concern here if you're an Oregon fan, is being able to win those two games on the road against physical teams. They gave you a lot of trouble last year. Oregon's a very good team. I've got actually Oregon rated 1 point higher in my power ratings than Utah. I just think Utah's schedule is a little bit easier than this Oregon one.
All right, now for the bad news.
Best case scenario is Oregon. Best case scenario is Oregon loses 4 or 5 games.
Whoa!
And
I'll take that bet right now.
Okay, so you think you're gonna so under their season win total, you think that everyone's a little too high on this team?
Let's first off, they lost their best receiver.
Okay.
Okay. The rest of them, the returning core caught less than half what he caught.
Bryan mentioned that lots of drop passes.
Lots of drop passes, and they're really and their running backs were freshmen last year. They looked pretty good tandem behind, as Bryan said, a good offensive line. But I think they're going to run the football this year. I think they'll run the football. I don't think he's going to be the #1 draft pick. They lost their two leading. I think their most important part of their defensive line, which was their pass rushers, but the leading sacks, quarterback pressures, and this comes inside. And I'm putting this inside of a bubble, a Pac-12 bubble that is the worst of the Power 6 conferences.
Absolutely. I agree. The Pac-12 is a conference that I don't spend a lot of time on. I don't do a lot of media stuff regarding them. It always seems like they always think a team out of the Pac-12 is going to be in the 14 playoff. It never happens. I'm always really high on Washington, always really like Utah. But this Oregon team, as Bryan mentioned, is very talented. I think Justin Herbert did make the right decision by staying. But you think they're going to lose 4 games?
I think best case scenario.
Which 4 games?
Well, I listen, I did a lot of stuff. I've looked at 25 schedules already, okay. But I'll say this to you.
Okay.
And it applies to another video, too. I could be wrong only because they play a bunch of Pac-12 teams. But he's right about this. They're talented. But their talent is very young. They have the top, I think they have maybe the top recruiting class. I mean, that recruiting class that they brought in is comparable to Alabama, Clemson. I mean, a very good recruiting class. But I think only 12 of them came in early. Only 12 of them played in spring. And I just think things do not stack up well for this team. They're young, almost every position except for quarterback, almost every position. And they're very soft in the backside safety, and they're going to have a difficult time stopping the run.
I've got a different feel about the Pac-12. I think it's a better conference this year than it has been in the last few.
Okay.
Only because the lesser teams are more competitive this year.
The Oregon States of the
world?
world?
Well, maybe not the Oregon States, but the Arizonas,
the
Arizona States. Those are going to be better teams.
So more of the
this year.
Mid-range.
Yeah, more of the
is
mid-range.
going to be better. Okay.
But from the talent standpoint, this is like a 4-year average of 17th. So this is a good one, but they're very consistent on it.
And he's saying this after essentially, I think, teams that don't that are not very good in the secondary this year in Pac-12 probably are going to be a little better because they lost all their quarterbacks, except for Bear.
Okay, I need a little side bet here.
4 games?
Okay.
Okay, I'll tell you what, give me 4-1 odds. And
4-1 odds.
Okay.
You guys, this is why I shouldn't give out Twitter handles in the beginning, because you're going to get absolutely blasted by the Oregon Ducks. And no, I didn't wear green on purpose today. But that being said, Finn at WagerTalk is going to get a lot of flack.
And his phone number, that cell phone right there is.
All right, guys, don't forget. Any 5% best bet is backed by our 150% wager buck guarantee, where you get 150% back in the purchase price in credit to use at wagertalk.com.